Hello, 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 hello. Welcome once again to the How Do You Keep Well podcast. How are you all doing? How was your week? How was the first 3 months of the year for you? I can't believe how quickly the year is going. But once again, I want to say thank you very much for taking time to listen to this podcast and for your support as well. It means a lot to me. As you know, I like sharing stories about keeping well, scientific insights that are easy to understand, and practical tips to inspire and motivate you to be the best version of your healthy self. I am Dr. Jaye. I'll be your host and I'll be cheering you on this exciting journey towards a happier, healthier, and more meaningful life. Do me a favor, make sure you subscribe and share any insights you have learned from this episode with your friends and family so that together we can keep on keeping well. This week we're focusing on social connection. Yes, social connection. What does that mean? How do we do it? Why do we have to do it? Well, I must confess, I am a self-diagnosed introvert. Let me change that. I am a person with many sides. A multipotentiate? Yeah, I like that word. But honestly, social connection, when I first hear that word, it makes me feel like hiding under my shelf. Those small talks or small chats after meetings, conferences, being in a conference hall and people having those little chats here and there, or perhaps church, especially after church. Honestly, I feel like that is such a major task. But my perception of this started changing gradually. I began to see self-confessed introverts like myself rocking it and even changing. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. This person's personality is changing a little bit. I remember speaking to a senior colleague in my practice who mentioned they also used to be very shy and introverted. Honestly, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that person said that because to me, that person was the most outgoing personality I could see in the practice. So honestly, connection, even though it may feel like something really difficult to do, but yes, it can be cultivated, it can be practiced. I like this. Connection is medicine, or connection is fuel to the soul, just as food is medicine to the body. We all need it to survive, we need it to thrive, we need it to flourish on this earthly realm because it is in our nature. Scientists describe it as a sense of belonging. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's got 5 different stages. I mean, there are some other newer hierarchies I've seen, but the main one shows 5 stages. And right there in the middle is the love and sense of belonging. Achieving deeper, more meaningful relationships through intimacy, friendship, and relationship. It is there. We all need it. You can't deny it. Even the richest person in the world feels the deep need to connect or feel seen, feel heard in a genuine way, not because of their money. So before you stop listening, let me, take this important aspect. Let's look at why people like me, yes, people like me or people who don't look like me, but also have the same needs like me. Why do they struggle connecting? Why do human beings struggle to connect? And I think there are lots and lots of reasons, but in my own head, I figured these 4 reasons as quite important. We all prioritize our comforts any day over condemnation, over fear of failure, over the fear of feeling overwhelmed or fear of losing your personal space. So rather than that, you just want to keep to yourself. The second thing is that people want to just avoid the drama that comes with, connecting with other people. There's so much drama in the world. First of all, it's not just that worry of acceptance, but even yourself, you begin to worry that you're comparing yourself, or you feel you criticize yourself, you feel upset, you're not up to par with other people. And you just say, you know what, let them do that do, and I'll do my do, that type of thing. But the risk here is that you're beginning to play small. Now, the third reason is trauma from past experiences, or maybe a friendship group that you felt really connected with, but they dropped you in. You really opened up, became vulnerable, but that became an open door for people to control you. And this may have led you to hide in your shell. You don't want to be controlled again. You don't want to be subject to that trauma again and again. But actually, emotionally, you are still subjecting yourself to that trauma by reliving it. But anyway, you decided on yourself that, you know what, I'm going to do it on my own now. I'm not going to rely on anybody. Mm. That is hard. And I'm sorry if you have been in that place before. I hear you. I see you. I may not know you, but we all have that deep need. We all have had those experiences before. We're all humans. Now, the fourth reason is stigma. Sometimes your heart desires to be with a particular tribe or group of people, but there's so much stigma associated with this, and you just end up hiding away. So many reasons, but like I said, those were the common themes that ran through my brain when I thought about this. But you know what? I'm here to tell you, I'm here to show you, and I'm here to perhaps explain why you should not give up connecting. Okay, let's start with the science. There's a joint committee called the National Academies for Science, Engineering, and Medicine. No, those are big three academies. And they produced a report maybe after COVID that confirms there is a compelling evidence that links loneliness and social isolation to an increased risk of serious psychological, cognitive, and physical morbidities, with the highest correlation being shown for an increased risk of early death. That is sad. So if you think you are an introvert, begin to rethink that, okay, because of the risk it's having to you keeping well. On the other hand, analysis of several research work combined together, what we call meta-analysis, and even some prospective studies confirm that social connection has protective effect on your health. For instance, one of the research shows that people with a higher social connection score had 50% higher survival odds than people with lower social connection scores. I think that is deep. Even though they have adjusted for all the variables, the age, the baseline health, and other things, a substantial amount of research indicates that social connection serves as a standalone protective factor, while social isolation and loneliness are identified as risk factors for premature deaths from all causes. Let me put this simply: our social well being, our social connection can significantly influence chronic disease, morbidity, and mortality. Honestly, you will not find many doctors talking about this in your 10-minute consultation. But if you find one that talks about it, that is a good doctor. Your social connection is important. It is part of your health and it is part of your well being. And when we talk about social connection, please, I'm not talking about your social media following. No, it's not just another type of buzzword. It encompasses three things. It is the quality of the relationship, not just the quantity. So, like I said, it's not about people following you on social media. It is about the quality. You may have a circle of friends, not maybe just about 6 or 7 friends, and you may find that the quality of relationship you have with them, goes beyond what you will ever get anywhere else. It is also as the function of the connection. So sometimes, it's whether or not you feel included or whether you feel supported, whether that is actual or perceived, that actually, determines the degree of connection you have in that group. So you may feel in a room of people, but still feel disconnected. That has happened to me and, still continues to happen to me, but I've learned to deal with it. What about the structure of the connection? The role you're playing is important, whether or not you're giving value or receiving value. That is important. So the social connection is not just a buzzword, it is the quality of the relationship, the function, and also the structure of the connection. But in all, I found it really intriguing, the evidence backing the negative impact of loneliness. It not only shows that people that are lonely have a generally poorer health outcomes, but also quite specifically shows that there is an increased risk of developing infection, chest infections, for example, viruses all the time. So maybe do a quick self check if you've been getting a lot of infections lately, viruses lately. Have a look. Do you feel connected to people? I mean, there are other causes for infection. Please don't get me wrong, but where you've tried to rule everything out, it might be a good time to maybe just reflect on yourself a bit more. Obviously, there's also the increased risk of developing medical problems, increased risk of developing psychological problems like stress, anxiety, depression. Loneliness becomes a challenge to live a healthy lifestyle, partly because it has an impact on your sleep and your physical activity. Loneliness changes your body biology. It changes the way the body works. It increases like the inflammation that happens in the body system. And this has all been found in research. So this is not just like read off the internet type of information. So you see why I talk a lot about well-being. And this is the reason why I start this podcast, because there are so many things I wish to talk about in my consultation room with my patient, but there's simply not enough time. And I do really hope that you find this information really helpful today so that you can begin to think of your health not just as the absence of physical illness, but it's also about your social, your physical, your intellectual, your emotional, and your spiritual well being. It is an ongoing journey. It's not just about not smoking, not eating the correct food or exercising. It's a whole journey. It takes everything into consideration. So, dear listeners, let's aim to keeping well in all these areas. Social wellness is a chunk and it should not be downplayed, particularly if you're on the quiet or introspective spectrum. So here are some reasons why you should create that opportunity for yourself to have a consistent quality connection. First of all, it helps your regulation, internal body regulation of your blood pressure, your weight, and reduces inflammation. It influences your lifestyle factor. But I think I like this aspect more. It helps you achieve your other life goals. When we do life together with great people, we are likely to be and do like them. The ties we have with others influences our choices and our habits, but we can also have a positive influence on others. So even if you feel that no one is giving you anything, you can give value to other people. And sometimes that is the bigger picture here about connection. We know that habits spread through our social networks. So for example, there are some habits that are contagious. I'm sure you know this. So negative behaviors like smoking, womanizing, clubbing, or even obesity can be contagious. I like this book called Connected, written by Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler. And they write about connection in a beautiful way. I love it. The amazing power of our social network and how they shape our lives. So questions like, is happiness catching? Can your siblings make you smart? Can your friends make you fat? Yeah, they made a comment about the average obese person is more likely to have friends or friends of friends or friends of friends that are obese than you will be expecting to be due to chance. And also, I'm sure you know this, if you're around people that bring your spirits down, then what is the point? Our social network has a power to shape our lives. We can choose to be intentional about this and to be selective, but there's no room to hide away because we all know that hiding away is not doing us any good. Okay. Now, this is the bigger picture as well. Social connection is not just for the benefit of for us, but it's also for the benefit of our community. And this is sometimes what people refer to as our social capital. The collective value of our social connection allows us to achieve or accomplish what we can't on our own. So, for example, oh my God, the WhatsApp groups. I don't know how many WhatsApp groups you have on your phone. You know, we have all sorts of WhatsApp groups, but I find it really helpful because it helps me to connect to a tribe. You know, I mean, a WhatsApp group with clinicians that are gynecologists. I have a marriage WhatsApp group. I have a prayer WhatsApp group. You know, all sorts of different WhatsApp groups. But each of those, they just bring the best out of me, and it helps me, you know, give value to those people, but receive value from them, but also having an impact on my community. When we share knowledge and information, I'm able to become a better physician for my patients. So it helps. It helps to promote better public health. It reduces crime rates. It helps to reduce political corruption. And definitely, our community social capital is definitely linked to our well being. So, how do you connect? Now, that is the big question. How do you connect? Now, I look at it in three ways. And now, this is very important to me. It's very deep for me too. We connect with ourselves, we connect with others, and we connect with a higher power. And for me, that means God. Let me start with connecting with ourselves. Now, that is a delicate one for many people, including myself. We are all a fusion of our past, present, and future experiences. There are some people who might be in a place where they have never had the chance to pause and think, it's go. Others might be in the spectrum of questioning their identity. Who am I? Why am I here? What is going on in my life? But of course, some women in midlife may also have a multi persona because they are experiencing hormonal fluctuations. One day they are angry and crazy, another day they are calm, and they just really can't tell who they are from one day to the next. It's too difficult to predict who they are themselves. And this loss can be great, enough to just want to separate and detach from yourself. Connection, again, like I said before, is a basic human need. Just as passion for life and purpose for life are things we all tune into from time to time. A disconnection from ourselves occurs with life. The dramas, the traumas, the stigma, the shame of everyday life can cause a gradual detachment. And then you find you want to find comfort in something else due to the pain, deep emotion somewhere in the heart, and you don't want to go there anymore, or just simply you're just out of practice because there's no time. And it's easier to feel that void or emptiness of disconnection with something else, mindless scrolling on the phone, mindless eating or drinking, excessive gaming, excessive sleeping, careless behaviors, binge watching Netflix, or crazy things that even I can't imagine. I don't know what people get up to nowadays. At the heart of this is an emptiness. Sometimes we're afraid of crying. afraid of getting hurt, or looking at ourselves as we are. We prefer to be distracted and entertained, no matter what the cost is. I like how Brené Brown puts this in her book, Atlas of the Hearts. And I read, it's probably more accurate to say my power of observation was dulled by a layer of beer, cigarettes, dance halls, behaviors that constantly jumped the line between girls just wanting to have fun to self destructing and self medication. It's awful that the same substances that take the edge of anxiety and pain also dull our sense of observation. So, for you, if there is an issue, here is what you might notice. You may begin to find that you are lacking in confidence, you have a very low self-esteem, you're anxious, there's a lot of unhealthy lifestyle choices, the relationships you have, there's a continuous pattern that is not helpful, really bad patterns. You have a desire not to be touched. Your true instincts, begin to feel like a distraction. The things that really should help you begin to feel like no, and then your distraction feels like your true instincts. And then I know that is deep. In the end, to be honest with you, everything comes down to choosing to be human, to be intentional, enjoying the state of being with yourself, no shame or judgment allowed. And the easiest method to do this is to check in, to take a moment to ask yourself, how are you feeling? Take a minute to yourself in silence. Observe your feelings. Pay attention to your body sensation. Observe how your physical body is connecting to the feelings you are having emotionally. Morning and evening, try to set aside some time. Try to sit in solitude. Be present with yourself. Pay attention to your breathing. Observe your thoughts. Observe each idea that comes. Don't be biased. Take note of your body's response. If you're able to keep a journal to describe this or reflect on it, that would be great. The wonderful thing about activities such as meditation is that you can use anything to focus and quiet your mind. You may be cooking, gardening, or even taking a walk. And this process, I like to simplify it into 3 steps. What do you see? How do you feel? What do you hear? So, connecting to ourselves or self connection is about becoming more self aware when you are in a state of calm, ready and steadily being in tune with your thoughts, and use your senses as a portal. What you see, how you feel, what you hear. So, your eyes, your touch, and your hearing. And use this to almost regulate yourself. Now, accept yourself, a deep understanding and acceptance of your unique individuality and your personality. That way, you become truly connected yourself. Then you find it easier to connect to others. Find your tribe, lead a balanced and fulfilling life. You are very powerful, provided you know how powerful you are. And self connection is a way of knowing how powerful you are. So remember, we talked earlier about the quality of the connection, the function of the connection, and the structure of the connection. When we are connected, our instincts become stronger. We understand what is right and wrong for us. We can make big decisions easier and have no regrets later. A strong connection is sometimes all we need, and in some cases, all we have to keep us sane in this evolving world. So, the second thing is connecting with others. Yeah, I feel it is a two-way traffic. We give and receive value. I think that is human connection. It is about feeling seen and heard. You want to see other people, you want to hear other people, but you want the same for yourself. There is nothing as awful as feeling alone when you're not actually alone. I have felt this so many times. It's awful. It can happen in your marriage, in your career environment, your creative environment, in your church, even in your meetings. I know it's inclusion, it's a buzzword we hear all the time. Inclusion, hash inclusion. And for me, the picture of inclusion I have in my brain is the big friendly giant the novel by Roald Dahl. And that giant stooping low to lift and carry Sophie. And together they give and receive value from each other despite their differences in size. I find that stuck with me for a long time. I feel that is inclusion. Forgetting about your size and just thinking about that person in front of you, beside you, next to you, as a person that has something to give you and you have something to give. For the purpose of this podcast, even though I refer to human connection, I know this can be extended to connections, even with pets that we have. Obviously, not many people have the privilege of living with people due to all sorts of different things, but you may have pets as well. Why is it that human beings find it hard to establish a deep feeling of human connection to each other? Even though it's something essential and natural, why does loneliness affect so many of us? To me, I don't think loneliness is just about being alone. It's a state of mind that occurs when there's a disconnect between one's desire for human connection and their actual level of connection. It's a state of mind. In other words, it's when our longing for human relationship is unfulfilled. Okay, so there is a longing, but it is not being fulfilled. And I think that's when loneliness occurs. If there is no longing, that is different. And that can occur for all sorts of reasons. But let's go with this. Some of us are not even sure what a true relationship entails. For instance, I just got myself a wireless Bluetooth speaker and I love that. But look, that is a wireless connection. And to be honest, I see my little speaker as my friend. But that is a connection to a gadget. At the heart of human connection, it is not information exchange. We don't just want to be telling each other our schedule. It's also an emotional exchange. That is when you feel connected. And that's why you may feel connected to a particular type of person because they got you. Even before you say something, they probably know what you're thinking. And then, there's so much joy when you hear people blurt out the same thing at the same time. And you feel like they got you. You really feel that they care about you in a deep way. Now, the second reason why we struggle with relationship is because a lot of us carry emotional baggages and it stops us from feeling empathy for people we encounter, especially if they are new. We struggle to connect with others. Also, we are worried that we have, all sorts of we criticize ourselves quite a lot. So there's timidity, there's cynicism, and there's also competition. My sister wrote a book about competition. I'll put a link on that. These are all things that can stop us from connecting. And really, remember what I said, connection is medicine. It is medicine for your soul. You cannot choose to remain disconnected to yourself. You can't choose to remain disconnected to people. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. How can we connect with others? Number one, please be present. Please be present. Have you ever felt someone's attention on another person as you're speaking to them? That is such a painful thing to go through. It feels really awful. I feel like crying. It's so horrible when you're speaking to people and you can tell they're not listening to you. Being with the person you're with is vital. When you look distracted or have a phone in your hand or working on the laptop when you're having a meal together, the energy vibe is different. You give up the impression that the person in front of you does not really matter. In reality, the person in front of you is the most significant person in that space right there, right now. And a time will come when that person will no longer be there. Making others feel noticed leads to more meaningful interactions and gives chance for an in-depth connection. Now, I say this to you, but I also say it to myself. I'm learning from myself. Isn't that incredible? The next thing is smiling. Smile with your entire body. Your body language is important, and that includes your facial expression. I have certainly noticed when I do my video consultation, when I smile at my patient, I get a smile back. It works each time, especially at the end of my consultation. Because it's not just about the lips, it's about the eyes too. And because we all have mirror neurons, these are neurons that cause you to yawn when you see another person yawn, that kind of thing. Yeah. Other people will be much more likely to smile back at you. But please don't do it sheepishly. This has the effect of inspiring a sense of human connection in almost everyone who sees you. So please be present, smile with your entire body. But thirdly, create space for others, for their vulnerability, for their sensitivity. Not everyone is perfect. Not everyone is perfect. Don't ever mistake vulnerability for weakness. Showing yours and also identifying it in others is important. Nothing makes a discussion feel more unpleasant than a stiff, one sided conversation. But you can break the ice by having the guts to be vulnerable and give the other person permission to be vulnerable. It helps the natural flow of the conversation. It may take practice, but it does develop with time. Try to break away from the mold in a sincere way. And this can be actually a relief and a reminder that we're only humans. I'm only human after all. If you're feeling a little worn out, admit it. I just wanted to let you know I'm having a bad day. I like what Maya Angelou said, that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Oh, wow, that is incredible. The fourth thing is surround your people with shared interests. It's easier to bond with people who share the same interests and hobbies as you. If you love reading, join a book club, and that would help you to socialize and form friendship and with people who love or share your love of books, just like me. I absolutely love my new book club. I joined one this year and it's incredible. It's almost giving me a new vavavoom, if there's anything like that. I love the Revivify Your Mind book club that I'm in. It's a group of Christian women who love reading. I absolutely love it. Now, if you find a community with similar issues, that's what the people call your tribe. It reduces the feeling of being a loner. You know, for example, an online network of people who've got eczema, or online network of people who have ADHD, online network of single moms or widows or widowers. These support groups help. It can make a difference to build your confidence, to validate your feelings and emotion, and to help you recognize what is bringing you down. When you have healed and ready to move on, you can do two things. You can join a group of people who you aspire to be like, or you can pay back. You can help people who have been in that situation like you have been before. You can be that listening ear for them. You can create a community elsewhere of similar people, but in a different location. Getting that balance right is a sensitive one, but you've got this. You've got this. Okay. Ask for help if you need it. If you have ever felt lonely, you're not alone. Many people experience or have experienced a lack of human connection at some point in their lives. The key to overcoming loneliness and living a more fulfilling, happier life is to challenge yourself, look for opportunities to build genuine connections with those around you. And it can be anything from joining a club, reconnecting with an old friend, or volunteering for a cause you believe in. If you find yourself struggling with building connections, there are a number of organizations that can offer personalized support. Try to find those. Okay. Finally, I will be talking about connecting with higher power. Now, let me warn you, this can be a little sounding a bit woo-woo-ish or a bit spiritual, but I believe that our health encompasses our spiritual well-being as well. And I personally believe that it is an important part of connection. It contributes to a sense of being well and feeling good about yourself. Connection to a higher power that is beyond yourself, beyond your ego, beyond space and time. This is that time when you can escape to your own limited consciousness and tap into boundless joy. you tap into this infusion of creativity and a deeper sense of belonging to someone. I know this can sound a little bit odd, but I can assure you that the very intimate moment that you use to look beyond yourself into a bigger picture or a bigger view can ignite something special. I call it a special bond that is unique to just you, to your soul. I know. I know that our past experiences, current experiences, the fear of the future, the anxiety, the trauma, the stigma, the drama, the stresses can definitely dull this experience. And sometimes it needs to be ignited. Remember Brené Brown when she talked about this dulling of that experience of our power of observation? She found a way of reigniting this through therapy. So you can definitely reignite that connection to a higher power. For me, my higher power is God. Some people call it superpower, whatever you call it is fine. For me, it is God. Now, others, it could be nature, it could be the universe, it could be a special talent or gift that has been given to you, and that helps you, feel connected to the higher power. Take time to reflect on what is yours. If you struggle with this, which many people will do, I'll recommend you take time to go out into nature. I find that is a good place to create a special moment of connection to a higher power. Forgive me, but I love talking about my visit to the remarkable rocks in South Australia on the Kangaroo Island. Yes, it's a kangaroo island. Lots of kangaroos, but there were also other animals. That's a story for another day. And we went to this remarkable rock, the vastness of these rocks. And little me reminded me that there is someone up there who has gently and wisely made all things to be. It was truly a moment of surrender for me. The truth is that we all have this innate ability to initiate this connection, but sometimes, understandably, the fear of the unknown may hold us back. Another way I find people connect to their higher power is when something really horrible happens. Have you ever been on a plane going through turbulence? Obviously, I'm a Nigerian. So whenever I go to Lagos on an aeroplane and the plane goes through turbulence, oh my goodness, you hear people shouting, Jesus. That is one moment when people suddenly feel the need to connect to a higher power. So when people feel hopeless or powerless or in deep distress or trouble, a belief in a higher power can get people through these difficult times. You may remember your mom or your grandmom or someone in the family praying for you, or perhaps a time in a Sunday school, and then you get the sense that there is someone bigger and there's someone more powerful than yourselves, and that makes you feel safe and calm, even when you don't have all the answers to life. Other ways for this is maybe through that state of gratitude, mindfulness, what we call a state of flow. I'll talk about this on a different episode, can help with this connection. So my challenge for you this week, if you want to connect with a higher power, is two things: reflect and reconnect. There are some questions that can help you to reflect on this, and here are some examples. Do you feel part of something greater than yourself? Do you feel your happiness is dependent on other people or things? Do you feel compassionate even towards people who have been unkind to you? Do you feel fearful very often? Do you feel you can learn a lot from others? Do you have a sense of oneness with nature? Do you feel able to accept your mortality? If you want to explore this a bit more, speak to a spiritual leader you trust. For me, that is a pastor or one of your friends talks a lot about church or whatever. And if you wanted to explore this a little bit more, I can put a link in my show notes that you could explore. And that may well be the start of a spiritual journey that may shape how you think, you feel, you behave over the next few years. The second thing is, when you reflect, aim to reconnect. Now take time on your own or with a friend to go on what I call an all walk. Go out into nature, somewhere you've never been before. Go out on a walk, experience the sounds, the smell, the sights of nature. Create time to show some gratitude. Give up your time or your money or your resources for a good cause. Have daily moments of acknowledging your special bond with God, whether that is in prayers or singing or a quiet contemplation. Your journey spiritually or your spiritual journey is part of how you keep well. You cannot ignore that aspect of your health. So it is vital that you begin working on building that relationship with your higher power or establishing a strong connection between your physical body and spirit body. You would be surprised by the sense of self-worth you receive when you're connected. Wow, wow, wow. This has been a bumper episode, very deep talks here, and I hope you've taken something away. Tell me, what have you taken away from it? Certainly for me, connection is medicine for the soul, just like food is medicine for the body. Connection is fuel for the soul, just like food is fuel for the body. So rejuvenate your connection to yourself, to people, and to your higher power. See yourself beautifully transforming into living a happy, healthy life once again, even in the midst of life chaos. It's been really awesome sharing this knowledge with you today. I always love getting your feedback. So please drop me a message or questions, and I will try my best to respond to them. I would like you to share, subscribe, and like my podcast to push this up the ranks so that more people can listen to it and be helped. Remember, midlife is for living life well. Keep on keeping well. Bye, 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 bye.